Hi there, I'm Tristan from the Kitesurf Centre, and today we're going to review the 2020 Duotone Truss Bar. The truss bar comes in 4 different line lengths, so it comes in 19 metres, 22 metres, 24 metres and 27 metres. The 19 and 22 metre bars come in the smaller bar, and the 24 and 27 metre lines come in the larger bar. The bars are all adjustable, so you can adjust the length of it from the inner setting to the outer setting by just flipping the bar ends in like that. So that will be your inner setting, and then you push the buttons, out it comes again, and you put it to the outer setting. So it's effectively changing your bar width when you use this, and the leverage. So it's moving it around about 4 to 5 centimetres at each end of the bar. So the truss bar is a bar I've used myself for about the last 4 or 5 years. I find it very comfortable. It now comes with different chicken loop sizes. So you have the free ride, which is this smaller one. We have a freestyle, which is a slightly larger setup. You then have a wake style, which is a really big chicken loop, and there's also the rope slider kit as well. I find if you're not going to be unhooking, or if you're unhooking very rarely, then the small free ride chicken loop is actually the best option. So the reason being is it brings everything closer towards you by around 8 to 10 centimetres. So if you're powered, and you're riding with the bar right the way out, it's moving it into a little bit more, a more comfortable position. Obviously if you're going to unhook, then the bigger chicken loop is much easier for hooking in and out. It's got a really sturdy donkey deck, so it's got a kink in the middle, which means it's easy to push into place and it doesn't crack and snap. And Duotone use their really reliable safety system. So a really simple push release, and there's just a hinge inside there. So there's very little which can jam or get full of dirt. It washes itself out. I'd always suggest clean it with fresh water after each session, but it means that even if when you're setting up and it gets full of sand and muck, a bit of water gets splashed on it as you get going, and then it works. It just pushes back in by putting the hook on, hold that down, and over it goes. So it's really nice and simple. The chicken loop has a swivel built into it, so as soon as you get a twist in your front lines, you can just untwist it either way, round it goes. So you don't need to allow the lines to stay twisted, which is obviously a safety factor, and also the lines wear when they're like that. As we move up a little bit further, we have the adjustable stopper. So you can move this up and down. That means you can push the bar hard against it when you're riding. So if you're not too powered, or you have slightly shorter arms and you find that as the bar goes right the way out, you can't reach it or it's really uncomfortable, you can just pull it down a little bit, and if you need to, adjust the trim to counteract it. That's a really nice setting. And then we have our red safety line, which runs through our chicken loop onto this attachment here, and it goes right the way up to the V at the top. The safety line and the front line split is about 6 meters. So it's not a high V and it's not a low V. So we find that we can use this bar on almost any kite. I've been using it on the F1 Bandit. It works on all of the Airrush range. Obviously it works on all the Duotone range. We haven't yet found a kite where it doesn't really work. So it's a really nice medium there. As we go a little bit higher up, we've got the trim. So very simple system. It's the cleat that most brands use. It's very reliable. So you pull it in and it naturally bites into the D-power rope and holds it in position. It means it's very easy to adjust. You can just let out a couple of centimeters at a time. And the more powered you are, the more it just bites and bites in. So it never ever slips. And that's, I think, a 3D printed part, so it's not going to corrode. The teeth don't lose any of their sharpness. So really reliable. And it has a Velcro strap on the back there. So if you are depowered a lot, like that, this thing's flapping all over the place, just Velcro on the back, and it just holds it out of your way. It doesn't get caught in your hands when the bar's all the way out, and it doesn't flip you in the face. Last part on the bar is we can adjust the rear lines. So we've got a couple of knots at the end here. So if your lines are stretching unevenly, or maybe you kite loop a lot one way, or one line's longer than the other, the front lines are stretched more than the back lines, which they tend to because they have all the power, we can adjust the knots here real easily. So it's got a little biting point here, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different knots, and we can just pop it back in on a different knot if we need to, like that. Stuff all the rope back inside, and then the bar end just clicks back on over the top. Oh, other way up, like that. The lines at the top have an extension, a pigtail on the end, which is a really nice feature. So the end of your lines don't wear out, the part that attaches it onto the kite. So if they do start to get worn, you just chuck the pigtails. It costs about £15 to replace them. The actual lines aren't ever in contact with any moving part between the line and the bridle, so not contacting the sand, which is obviously a lot better for the longevity of it. The Kite Lines are a 350 kilogram braking strain. They're made of Dyneema with a weave through the middle of them. We use these kite lines in the school, which obviously get a lot more use than the majority of people kite surfing. I find that they're one of the better lines on the market in terms of stretch, braking and wear. So they are really top end. The bar itself is very comfortable. So I use this bar because it just seems to be the right size. So it's ergonomically, it fits your hand really nicely. It's got a really smooth section around the centre here. So when you're kiting or you're unhooking, you've got your fingers around the depower rope. There's no pinch points. So the depower rope isn't trying to bite your finger where it goes through the section in the middle. And you don't get any sharp sections around the bit through your centre here, where the centre line goes through. A lot of the parts on this bar are replaceable. So if any of these sections do start to wear, then it's very easy to get the spares from Duotone, and they are not that expensive either. So you can really get a lot out of the bar. So yeah, to conclude, this is one of our favourite bars. There's a lot of adjustment on it, it's really well built, and it works on just about any kite on the market.